83%. Not 83% of Conservative voters. Not 83% of Reform supporters. Not 83% of people who have never liked Keir Starmer. 83% of Labour's OWN members, the people who voted for him, campaigned for him, knocked on doors for him, now say he has handled the biggest scandal of his premiership badly. And yet, this morning, Keir Starmer sat down with the Sunday Times and said this: "The vast majority of Labour MPs support me." That is the gap we are going to explore today, between what Starmer says and what the numbers actually show. Because today there is also a brand new scandal. One that his team tried to bury on a Sunday. One that could, on its own, be a resignation offence. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will understand exactly how close this Prime Minister is to the edge, and why this week could be the most dangerous of his entire political career. Let's start with the poll, because these numbers are extraordinary, and I want to make sure you understand exactly what they mean. Labour List commissioned an exclusive surveyation poll of Labour Party members, published today. These are not random members of the public. These are paid-up members of the Labour Party, people who chose to join, people who actively support the party. Here is what they found. 83%, more than 4 in 5 Labour members, think Starmer has handled the Mandelson affair badly. Only 14% think he handled it well. 46% of Labour members now want a change of party leader. Nearly half. Of his own party. And 29%, almost 1 in 3 Labour members, think Starmer should resign as Prime Minister right now, over this scandal alone. Now, the editor of Labour List put it perfectly. She said, Labour members tend to instinctive loyalty. So these numbers are stark for Starmer. That is the key phrase. Labour members are instinctively loyal. They do not turn on their leaders easily. They rallied around Jeremy Corbyn through years of controversy. They stuck with Gordon Brown through the financial crisis. They are not a party membership that panics. And yet, 83% of them think their own Prime Minister has failed. That is not a bad week. That is a collapse of confidence. And it matters, because Labour members choose the next leader. If Starmer falls, these are the people who decide who replaces him. So what did Starmer do with these numbers? How did he respond to finding out that 83% of his own members think he has failed? He sat down with the Sunday Times this morning and said the following. He said the vast majority of Labour MPs support him. He said he intends to fight the next general election. And he said, and I want you to listen to this very carefully, he thinks Labour can win that election. He added, in politics, you get this sort of thing all of the time. There is always talk. What you never hear from are all the people who are supportive, loyal, and just want to get on with the job. There is always talk. That is how Keir Starmer describes 83% of his own members saying he has failed. There is always talk. Now, to be fair, there is a sliver of truth in what he says. 2/3 of Labour members, 61%, do not think he should resign over this scandal specifically. They are angry. They think he failed. But they are not yet calling for his head. That distinction matters. But it is cold comfort for a Prime Minister when nearly half his own party wants a new leader, and his approval ratings are at historic lows, and the local elections are 11 days away. Because here is the thing about political collapses. They do not happen all at once. They happen number by number, story by story, Sunday interview by Sunday interview, until one morning a Prime Minister wakes up and discovers that the ground has disappeared beneath his feet. And today, there is a new story. One that could accelerate that collapse dramatically. While Starmer was giving his Sunday Times interview this morning, The Telegraph was publishing a story that his team will have hoped nobody noticed on a Sunday. Here is what they revealed. In February 2025, while Mandelson was serving as US ambassador, Keir Starmer and Peter Mandelson attended a meeting together at the headquarters of Palantir, the American technology company. Now, Palantir is not just any company. It is one of the most controversial tech firms in the world. It has major contracts with the US military and intelligence services. It has significant interests in UK government contracts. And, crucially, It was a client of Lord Mandelson's lobbying firm, Global Counsel. So let me be very clear about what this means. The Prime Minister attended a meeting with a company that was paying his ambassador for lobbying services. And he did not declare it. Under the Ministerial Code, the rulebook that governs how ministers and the Prime Minister must behave, Starmer is required to publish details of all meetings with external organizations. That is not optional. It is a legal obligation. But the meeting was not logged. It did not appear in the official register of ministerial meetings. Downing Street's response: they told the Telegraph that the event was not a meeting, so it did not need to be recorded. But here is where it gets worse. The Ministry of Defense also attended this event. And the Ministry of Defense described it, in their own words, as a meeting. So Downing Street says it was not a meeting. The Ministry of Defense says it was. And the Prime Minister did not declare it. Alex Burghardt, the Shadow Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, said directly, "The public deserves to know who arranged this meeting, what was discussed, and what Global Counsel's clients stood to gain." He also said, and this is the critical phrase, that Starmer appears to have broken the Ministerial Code, which is widely seen as a resignation offence. A resignation offence. On top of everything else. Published on a Sunday, when the news cycle is quiet, hoping nobody would notice. We noticed. Now I want to take you back to something Starmer said this week in Parliament, because in the context of this new scandal, it takes on a completely different meaning. When Starmer was defending himself over the Mandelson vetting failure, he said this. He said that when the security vetting agency puts 2 red flags on someone's file, meaning high concern and clearance denied, that information should absolutely be told to the Prime Minister. His exact words were, "When there's a double red flag not to give clearance and showing high concern, I'm sorry. I do not accept the argument that that is something which should not be told to the Prime Minister." He was saying, "I should always know when something serious is happening. There should be no secrets from me." And yet, he attended a meeting with a company that was paying his own ambassador, and he didn't declare it. He didn't log it. He said it wasn't a meeting. The man who says he should always know everything didn't know about the vetting. The man who says everything should be declared didn't declare the Palantir meeting. One of those things might be an accident. 2 things starts to look like a pattern. And Labour MP Emily Thornberry, one of his own, posted on social media yesterday demanding answers. Not a Conservative. Not Reform. One of his own MPs, publicly. This is what a political collapse looks like from the inside. Let's zoom out, because all of this is happening against one very specific backdrop. The local elections. May the 7th. 11 days from now. YouGov projections published this week show Labour heading for what analysts are calling disastrous results. In London, historically one of Labour's strongest areas, they are projected to lose significant ground. In Wales, where Labour has governed for 25 years, they face their worst results in a generation. And Reform UK, Nigel Farage's party, is surging. In some projections, Reform is set to become the largest party in local government outside Labour's remaining strongholds. Starmer told the Sunday Times this morning that he thinks Labour can win the next general election. That it will be Labour versus Reform. That the defining question will be what it means to be British. But here is the problem with that vision. You cannot fight an election on British values when 83% of your own members think you have failed. You cannot argue for integrity in public life when there are questions about an undeclared meeting with a lobbying client. You cannot fight reform on patriotism when you have just handed away British territory in Chagos, failed to intercept Russian ships in the Channel, and watched the Pentagon consider withdrawing support for the Falklands. The local elections on May 7th are not just a test of Labour's popularity. They are a test of whether Starmer has any political future at all. And right now, the numbers suggest he does not. Here is what to watch this week, because the next 7 days could define the rest of Starmer's premiership. Tomorrow, Monday, Parliament returns. And Starmer will face questions about the Palantir meeting, about the Ministerial Code, about whether he broke the rules. He will have to answer those questions live, in the chamber, in front of the entire country. Tuesday, Morgan McSweeney, Starmer's former chief of staff, faces the parliamentary committee. McSweeney is the man who reportedly said, "Just approve it," about Mandelson's appointment. He is the man who ran Starmer's entire political operation. What he says, or refuses to say, under questioning could change everything. Also this week, King Charles arrives in Washington for his state visit with Donald Trump. The visit was planned months ago, but it now takes place in the shadow of the Falklands Row, the Iran War, and a shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. The optics for Britain, and for Starmer, could not be worse. And through all of it, the clock is ticking toward May the 7th. Every bad headline between now and then is another nail. Starmer told the Sunday Times he will fight on, that he will lead Labour into the next election, that there is always talk. But 83% of his own members disagree. Nearly half his party wants a new leader. And there is now a new scandal, a potential ministerial code breach, sitting on the front page of the Telegraph on a Sunday afternoon. In politics, that is not just talk. That is the sound of the walls closing in. Here is my honest take on where we are. Starmer is not finished yet, and I want to be clear about that. 2/3 of his own members do not want him to resign over this scandal. He still has a majority in Parliament. He still has time before the next general election. But the trajectory is unmistakable. Every week brings a new revelation. Every week the poll numbers get worse. Every week another Labour voice, a peer, an MP, a member, speaks out. The question is not whether Starmer is in trouble. He clearly is. The question is whether anything that happens this week, McSweeney's testimony, the Palantir questions, the local election results, tips the balance from struggling Prime Minister to Prime Minister who cannot survive. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think Starmer makes it to the local elections as leader, or does something this week finally break him? Drop your answer in the comments below. If this gave you more than the headlines, subscribe. Every video on this channel follows the evidence, not just the noise. I'll see you this week as the story develops.